There is a small act that most people perform without awareness. They wash their hands and move on, thinking nothing has changed except the surface of the skin. Yet the wise have always known that the smallest rituals, when done with attention, can reshape the inner world. This is the forgotten golden wash. It is not about water alone. It is not about soap alone. It is about the state of mind that flows through the hands. Winners, those who move steadily toward clarity, abundance, and quiet strength, do not treat this moment as ordinary. They turn it into a practice of renewal. Consider this: every day your hands touch effort, stress, distraction, and unseen burdens. You shake hands with problems, you hold tools of work, you carry the weight of decisions. And without noticing, these experiences cling not physically but mentally. When the hands are washed carelessly, the mind remains crowded. But when the hands are washed with awareness, something deeper begins to cleanse. The golden wash begins before the water even touches the skin. It begins with a pause, a single breath. In that breath there is recognition: I release what I no longer need to carry. This is the first step. Not force, not struggle, just a quiet decision to let go. Then comes the water. Feel it fully, not as background noise, but as a living presence. As it flows over the hands, imagine that it carries away more than dust. It carries away hesitation, doubt, and the invisible tension built throughout the day. Winners understand this. The mind follows the body when guided with intention. The movement of the hands matters too. Slow, deliberate, complete, not rushed, not distracted. Each motion becomes a signal to the mind: I am present, I am in control of this moment. In a world that constantly pulls attention outward, this simple act becomes a form of quiet mastery. And then there is gratitude. This is where the golden wash becomes truly powerful. As the hands are cleaned, there is a silent acknowledgement. Gratitude for the work these hands have done, for the opportunities they have touched, for the effort they will continue to give. Gratitude transforms routine into richness. Without it, even success feels empty. With it, even small acts feel meaningful. You may wonder, how can something so simple create change? Because life is not shaped only by grand actions. It is shaped by repeated moments. What you do daily becomes what you become eventually. If your smallest habits are unconscious, your larger path will also drift without direction. But if your smallest habits carry awareness, your entire life begins to align. Winners are not always those who do extraordinary things once. They are those who do ordinary things with extraordinary presence. The golden wash is also a boundary. When done at the right moments, after work, before rest, before important decisions, it marks a transition. It tells the mind that chapter is closed, a new one begins. Without such boundaries, stress bleeds into rest and rest loses its power. But with them, each part of life gains its proper place. There is also humility in this practice. Water does not resist. It flows, adapts, and cleans without pride. When you wash your hands with awareness, you are reminded to move through life in the same way, firm when needed, yet flexible, active, yet calm. This balance is the quiet strength behind lasting success. Many people search for complex strategies to improve their lives. They chase systems, shortcuts, and secrets. Yet they overlook the simple doorway available to them many times a day. The doorway of awareness. The doorway of intention. The golden wash is not about perfection. Some days the mind will wander. Some days the moment will feel ordinary again. That is natural. What matters is returning again and again to presence. Each return strengthens the mind, just as each drop of water shapes the stone over time. And slowly, without force, something begins to change. You become less reactive, more grounded, more clear in your actions. Decisions feel lighter. Effort feels more focused. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. This is the quiet secret. When the inner state is clean, the outer path becomes clearer. So the next time you stand before running water, do not rush away. Do not treat it as a task to finish. See it as a moment offered to you, a moment to reset, to release, to return to yourself. Let the hands be washed. Let the mind be washed. Let the day begin again, even in the middle of itself. In this simple act, repeated with awareness, you will discover that success is not only built in grand victories. It is built in the unseen discipline of small, mindful moments. And those who master these moments quietly shape a life that others call extraordinary. Awareness transforms simple actions. Washing hands is not just a physical act, it becomes powerful when done with full presence and intention. There is a quiet power hidden in the simplest actions, and it is often overlooked because the mind is always chasing something bigger, louder, and more dramatic. Yet the truth remains that awareness is what transforms an ordinary act into something meaningful. When the hands are washed without attention, it is nothing more than a routine repeated out of habit. But when the same act is done with full presence, it becomes a moment of connection between the body and the mind. A moment where distraction fades and clarity begins to rise. Most people move quickly, allowing their thoughts to wander even in the smallest tasks. The hands touch water, but the mind is somewhere else, lost in worry, planning, or memory. In such a state, no real cleansing takes place beyond the surface. The tension of the day, the weight of small frustrations, and the noise of constant thinking remain untouched. But when awareness is brought into the moment, everything begins to change in a subtle yet powerful way. To be present is not complicated. It begins with a simple pause, a gentle return to the here and now. As the water flows over the skin, there is a conscious decision to feel it fully, the temperature, the movement, the sensation. This awareness anchors the mind, pulling it away from scattered thoughts and placing it into a state of calm observation. In this state, even a few seconds can feel rich and complete. With this presence, the act of washing becomes more than cleaning. It becomes a signal to the mind, a reminder that control is not found in forcing outcomes but in guiding attention. When attention is steady, the mind becomes clear. And when the mind is clear, actions become more precise, more intentional, and less burdened by unnecessary noise. This is how a simple habit begins to influence a larger life. It teaches discipline not through effort or struggle, but through consistency. Each time awareness is practiced, even in something as small as washing hands, it strengthens the ability to remain present in more challenging moments. Over time, this creates a shift. Reactions become calmer, decisions become wiser, and the constant rush of thoughts begins to slow. There is also a quiet respect that develops through this practice. The hands are no longer taken for granted. They are seen as instruments of effort, tools that carry out daily tasks, solve problems, and create value. When they are washed with awareness, there is an unspoken acknowledgement of their role. And this naturally brings a sense of gratitude. This gratitude does not need to be spoken loudly. It is felt in the stillness of the moment. In this way, awareness turns a routine into a ritual. Not a ritual bound by rules or complexity, but one guided by intention and presence. It becomes a small space in the day where everything slows down, where the mind is given a chance to reset. And in that reset, there is renewal. Those who understand this do not look for meaning only in large achievements. They find it in the quiet consistency of mindful moments. They know that the quality of attention given to small actions shapes the quality of life itself. And so they return again and again to awareness, even in the simplest acts, knowing that this is where true clarity begins. Release mental and emotional burdens. The golden wash symbolizes letting go of stress, doubt, and negativity carried throughout the day. Every day, the mind gathers more than it realizes. It collects small disappointments, passing worries, unspoken tensions, and the quiet pressure of unfinished thoughts. These things do not always appear heavy in the moment, but over time they begin to form a subtle weight that follows a person through the day. Many try to escape this weight by seeking rest or distraction, yet they carry it with them because they never truly release it. The act of washing the hands, when done with awareness, becomes a gentle way of letting go. It is not about forcing the mind to be empty or pretending that nothing has happened. Instead, it is about acknowledging that not everything needs to be held onto. As water flows over the skin, there is an opportunity to imagine that the invisible burdens are also being carried away. This is not illusion, it is a way of guiding the mind to loosen its grip. Letting go is often misunderstood. People think it requires strength, effort, or some grand decision. But in truth, holding on is what requires effort. The mind clings to things out of habit, replaying moments and conversations long after they have passed. When awareness is brought into a simple act like washing hands, this pattern is gently interrupted. The focus shifts from the past and the future into the present. And in that shift, the grip begins to soften. As the hands move slowly under the water, there is a chance to become aware of what is being carried inside. Perhaps it is frustration from a recent interaction, or worry about something uncertain. Instead of pushing these feelings away, they are simply noticed. And then without resistance, there is a quiet intention to release them. The water becomes a symbol of this release, flowing continuously, never holding on to anything. This process may seem small, but it has a deep effect over time. Each moment of release prevents the buildup of unnecessary tension, keeps the mind from becoming crowded and restless. When the mind is not overloaded, it naturally becomes lighter, more flexible, and more open to clarity. Decisions are no longer clouded by lingering emotions, and actions are taken with greater ease. There is also a sense of renewal that follows. After letting go, even in this simple way, the mind feels as though it has been given space to breathe. This space is important because it allows new thoughts, ideas, and perspectives to emerge without being blocked by what was previously held. In this way, release is not a loss, it is a clearing that makes room for something better. Over time, this practice builds a habit of emotional balance. Instead of carrying stress from one moment into the next, there is a natural rhythm of release and renewal. The mind learns that it does not need to cling to every experience. It begins to trust the process of letting go, just as water flows without resistance. In this quiet and consistent way, a simple act becomes a powerful tool. Not because it changes the outside world, but because it changes the relationship with what is carried inside. And when that relationship changes, life begins to feel lighter, clearer, and more peaceful, even in the midst of daily challenges. Small habits shape big outcomes. Success is built through consistent, mindful daily actions rather than rare, grand efforts. Success is often imagined as something grand, something achieved through monumental efforts or sudden strokes of fortune. People chase big ideas, long plans, and extraordinary events, believing that life's outcomes are shaped only by such rare and dramatic moments. Yet the truth is quieter, subtler, and far more profound. Life is shaped primarily by the habits that are repeated daily. The ordinary, when performed with intention, accumulates into the extraordinary. This is why small habits, especially those done with awareness, have the power to shape the course of a life. The act of washing hands when approached with mindfulness is an example of this principle. On the surface, it seems trivial. It is an action done countless times without thought, a routine embedded in daily life. But when attention is added, it becomes a practice in discipline and presence. Every deliberate movement reinforces a pattern of consciousness. The habit of noticing, the habit of letting go, the habit of being fully engaged in the present moment. These habits, repeated consistently, ripple outward into all areas of life, guiding decisions, shaping reactions, and influencing outcomes. Small habits carry weight because they influence the mind in ways that large, infrequent actions cannot. A single moment of awareness may seem inconsequential, but when repeated, it trains the mind to respond rather than react, to choose clarity rather than confusion. When the hands are washed deliberately, the mind practices focus. When the mind practices focus consistently, it naturally becomes disciplined in other areas. Effort is no longer wasted on distractions, energy flows toward what is truly important. Winners understand this subtle power. Success is not the result of luck, but the cumulative effect of repeated mindful actions. Another reason small habits are transformative is that they serve as anchors in the rhythm of daily life. Each mindful act becomes a reference point, a quiet signal to the mind that attention and intention matter. The golden wash, for example, marks the transition from one phase of life to another, from work to rest, from chaos to calm, from distraction to clarity. Without such anchors, the day drifts unmoored. Habits repeated over time create structure, balance, and a sense of stability that allows greater achievements to emerge naturally. It is also important to recognize that these small habits are accessible to anyone. They do not require extraordinary resources or opportunities. They are not dependent on circumstance. What they require is awareness and consistency. In this sense, small habits are democratic. They give every person, regardless of starting point, a tool to cultivate success. By attending to the seemingly trivial, a person develops mastery over the mind, and mastery over the mind leads to mastery over life. Ultimately, the lesson is simple: do not underestimate ordinary moments. Each small conscious act matters because it shapes the mind and reinforces the patterns that determine life's outcomes. Winners are those who recognize the power of these habits, who cultivate them patiently and persistently. They understand that extraordinary results emerge from ordinary actions performed with extraordinary attention. Success, therefore, is not built in sudden leaps, but in quiet, repeated steps taken with care, awareness, and intention. The path of greatness is paved not with rare events, but with countless mindful moments, each one shaping the person who walks it. Create mental boundaries and fresh starts. This practice helps mark transitions like work to rest, bringing clarity and balance to life. Life flows in cycles, and within each cycle there are moments meant for action and moments meant for stillness. Often, people fail to recognize the significance of these boundaries. The day is treated as a continuous stream without pause, and as a result, energy becomes scattered, decisions lose clarity, and the mind carries fatigue from one task into the next. Establishing mental boundaries is a practice of wisdom. It is the art of marking transitions so that each part of life receives its proper attention and focus, and it is in these boundaries that true clarity is cultivated. The act of washing hands when approached with mindfulness serves as one of these invisible boundaries. It is more than physical cleansing, it is a symbolic pause, a moment of reset. When hands are washed deliberately, it signals to the mind that a chapter has closed and a new one is beginning. The burdens of what has just passed are set aside, allowing the mind to enter the next moment with clarity and intention. Without such boundaries, life becomes a continuous blur where the lessons of one experience fail to integrate and the freshness of a new opportunity is diluted by lingering distractions. Winners, those who move steadily toward their goals, understand the power of such boundaries. They do not rush from one task to the next, assuming that effort alone will bring success. Instead, they recognize that the quality of attention matters more than the quantity of activity. By consciously marking transitions through small rituals such as mindful hand washing, they create mental space that allows decisions to be made with greater insight, creativity to arise, and energy to remain focused. This practice is subtle, yet its effects are profound. Boundaries also cultivate a sense of respect for the flow of life. Just as water needs channels to guide its movement, the mind requires clear markers to direct its energy. When transitions are acknowledged and respected, each action becomes more effective. The mind is neither cluttered by the past nor anxious about the future. It inhabits the present fully, and in this presence choices become clearer, effort becomes more efficient, and outcomes align more naturally with intention. Moreover, establishing boundaries through small mindful acts trains the mind in discipline. The golden wash is a reminder that not all moments are equal and that attention must be guided purposefully. Repeated consistently, this habit strengthens the ability to create other boundaries between work and rest, between thought and emotion, between effort and reflection. The mind learns to recognize when a moment is complete and when a new one begins. It is in these repeated acts of demarcation that clarity is cultivated and the path forward becomes visible. Ultimately, mental boundaries are not limitations, they are frameworks for freedom. They provide structure that allows the mind to move more fluidly, to act more decisively, and to experience life with greater presence. The simple act of washing hands mindfully, repeated with intention, becomes a metaphor for this deeper practice. It teaches that clarity is not achieved by rushing or force, but by recognizing transitions, letting go of what no longer serves, and entering each new moment with attention and openness. In this rhythm, life itself becomes a series of intentional gratitude and presence build inner strength. Adding gratitude during the act deepens focus, calmness, and a sense of purpose, leading to a clearer path forward. Gratitude is a quiet force that transforms ordinary moments into opportunities for depth, presence, and strength. It is often overlooked in the pursuit of success, yet those who cultivate it in their daily lives discover an inner richness that cannot be measured by wealth, accolades, or external achievements. The simple act of washing hands, when paired with awareness and a sense of gratitude, becomes a profound practice for developing this inner strength. Gratitude does not require grand gestures or dramatic statements. It grows in small, repeated acts that invite the mind to notice the value already present in each moment. When washing the hands mindfully, the practice of gratitude begins with acknowledgement. The hands themselves are remarkable tools that carry out countless tasks throughout the day. They create, support, and engage with the world in ways that are often unnoticed. By pausing to recognize their work, there is a subtle shift in perception. The hands are no longer just instruments, they become symbols of effort, resilience, and capability. This acknowledgement cultivates respect for oneself and for the small contributions that make life meaningful. Gratitude deepens as awareness expands to include the water, the moment, and the mind itself. Each drop that flows over the skin can be seen as a gift, a reminder that life continues in cycles of renewal. This is not about mystical thinking, it is about bringing attention to what is often taken for granted. The water cleanses not only the hands but also serves as a metaphor for cleansing the mind of unnoticed burdens. Recognizing this flow fosters appreciation for the simplicity and abundance inherent in life. As the act continues, gratitude encourages a sense of presence that transforms ordinary routines into rituals of mindfulness. This presence strengthens the mind, teaching it to focus, to remain calm, and to respond with clarity rather than reacting impulsively. Gratitude nurtures patience, reminding the mind that every moment has value, even those that appear mundane. By consistently practicing gratitude in small acts, one develops a resilient mindset capable of maintaining clarity and balance amid life's complexities. Moreover, gratitude in mindful actions cultivates a sense of connection. Recognizing the efforts of the hands, the availability of clean water, and the capacity for presence invites awareness of the larger web of circumstances that support life. Success and abundance are not solely the result of individual effort, they are nourished by countless unseen factors. By appreciating these factors, the mind becomes humble and centered, reducing unnecessary tension born from comparison or expectation. Over time, this practice accumulates quietly but powerfully. Gratitude transforms ordinary acts into anchors of calm and sources of inner wealth. Each mindful hand wash becomes an opportunity to reset the mind, release what no longer serves, and cultivate appreciation for what exists in the present. This inner strength, born of awareness and gratitude, extends naturally to every area of life. Decisions become more grounded, relationships more harmonious, and efforts more aligned with true purpose. The essence of this practice is simple. When gratitude is present, even the smallest actions carry significance. Ordinary routines become gateways to clarity, discipline, and calm. In this way, winners are shaped not only by their efforts but by the quiet cultivation of awareness and appreciation in daily life. Gratitude strengthens the mind, refines attention, and fosters resilience, creating a foundation for enduring success and deep inner peace.